Hey guys, this is Andrew with AndroidCentral.com, and this is the Kyocera Hydro Elite on Verizon. The Hydro Elite isn't likely to get too many of us excited because of its kind of low-range nature, but it does hold a place in Verizon's smartphone lineup, kind of taking up the low end of the spectrum because it's $49.99 on contract, and the entire device kind of shows that you have a really basic design with a textured backplate that's removable, which is nice, and then a little bit of glossy plastic up on the top and glossy plastic around the sides. You have a USB port here and a power button headphone jack on the top. Not a whole lot going on the bottom. And around here on the front of the screen, just basic big bezels, big Verizon logo, big Kyocera logo. You do have on-screen buttons because we're looking at Android 4.1 Jelly Bean here. And basically what Kyocera and Verizon have done is a very, very light skinning to try to make things a little more friendly. But it really just kind of seems to stand out too much in the wrong ways. You kind of have things like the calculator and clock in the camera here that the icons just stand out too much, considering that they left everything else pretty much stock. Otherwise, you have some changes in the notification bar and things like that, and the settings are a little tweaked, but they're basically the same. Now going back into the app drawer really quick, you'll see Verizon's contributions here, and they're all none of them are disableable or uninstallable, which is kind of frustrating, but again, you kind of expect it in a low-end device. You have things like NFL Mobile, Polaris Office, and IMDb, and Amazon Kindle, and Audible in the App Store, and altogether there's about 15 or so that just can't be uninstalled. And luckily you have 16 gigs of internal storage to work with, but it's not going to make you too happy to be looking at all those apps in the app drawer all the time. Now, like I said, we are looking at Jelly Bean, but it's just 4.1.2. It's not 4.2 or 4.3 with some of the other smaller tweaks, but that doesn't seem to be the biggest problem with the software here. Our biggest issue is actually navigating through the home screens and things. It's just got a little bit of hesitation to it that's unfortunate. We're not sure if it's a touch response issue, because in other apps it seems to be just fine, but across the home screen in the apps or the app drawer, it just doesn't seem to do what we want it to do. And when you step into even moderately demanding 3D games or anything like that, the performance just drops down again. Now, we do have 1.5 gigs of RAM and a dual core Snapdragon processor, an 8960 I believe in there, so it has plenty of oomph to be able to handle apps. And normal apps, when you're jumping in and out of things like Google Plus and scrolling around, it does completely fine. There's no issues with any basic apps like that, but once you start to get into the games and things, it doesn't really work that well. So going back to the hardware for just a minute, we are looking at a completely waterproof and somewhat impact resistant casing. We have a battery that is removable but you'll notice here the dead giveaway is this big red gasket that goes around that matches up with one on the inside there to prevent water from getting into the battery. You have a SIM card and an SD card under there as well, so normally you don't get these kinds of things when you're talking about a waterproof phone, so that's kind of nice. And also, because of the waterproofing, you'll notice there's no speaker grill up at the top here, just a big Verizon logo. They're using their sonic sound receiver technology, where it's a bone conduction speaker, so nothing going on there, nothing fancy on the back or anything like that. So a bone conducting speaker means that when you put the phone up to your head, it will pretty much vibrate your eardrum instead of having a traditional speaker. And they say that the maximum volume is 100 dB, which is extremely loud. So we haven't had any issues, and we actually think it sounds a lot clearer on phone calls when you're on like a busy street, or you're in a car or something like that. You can hear clearly because you're just vibrating your eardrum. There's no interference. It's kind of nice. So as far as the complete package goes, the Kyocera Hydro Elite fills that low-end price point for Verizon, but we're not entirely sure who should be bothering to pick one of these up. Verizon offers a lot of interesting handsets. They have the Droid Mini is just $99 on contract. The Droid DNA is $49 on contract, the same price as the Hydro Elite, and you can get so much more phone for the same price, or just $50 more. Even if there weren't some of the troubling performance issues, we would tend to think that you should probably go for something a little higher end, and you'll be much better off for it.